Hey everyone, welcome back to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, and we've got another great interview for you today with Wendy DeWitt, and we're going to get to that in just a quick second. In the meantime, we've got to take care of a little business here. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Positively Pittsburgh Live. You can go to positivelypittsburghlivemagazine.com and get all the information there. That's Pittsburgh's first internet radio and TV and online community and business directory. So you want to go ahead and check that out. If there's tons of resources there to learn all kinds of amazing things, as well as if you are a business, it's a great place to kind of get yourself seen and let people know what you're doing. I'd also like to thank MTS Management Group. MTS Management is more than just an artist management company. It's a bona fide rock star in the music industry, specializing in full-service artist management, publicity, promotions, and social media campaigns. MTS Management is on the cutting edge of today's new music business. Like I said, you are listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, and you can get all the information and the inside scoop at LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. Now, today's special guest, as I mentioned, is Wendy DeWitt. Wendy DeWitt is a boogie-woogie piano player extraordinaire. She performs straight from the heart boogie woogie and blues. Wendy's performed with Charlie Musselwhite, Otis Rush, Jimmy Thackeray. She's appeared at the Cincinnati Blues Fest, Boston Symphony Hall with Hank Ballard and the Midnighters, who she was a part of Hank's band for a very long time. And she's also performed at one of Hader Brooks' last shows in the San Diego Museum of Art. She tours regularly and produces the annual Queens of Boogie Woogie series, which we're going to talk about here, showcasing artists from around the U.S. In 2012 and 2014. Wendy and longtime collaborator Kirk Harwood, the drummer, represented the Golden Gate Blues Society in the International Blues Challenge, Memphis, Tennessee, achieving the 2014 finals in the top 100 acts. Wendy DeWitt, welcome to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing absolutely fabulous. We're very excited this weekend because we're getting ready for the San Francisco International Boogie Woogie Festival, which is happening tomorrow in real time here.
This is not the Queens of Boogie Woogie. This is something different?
This is you get restless, right? So we thought of something else to do. My partner and his wife, Julio Redstone and Linda Haley, we put on this Boogie Woogie Festival at SF Jazz Center once a year. This is our third annual. And we have Boogie Woogie players from around. This year we've got a Hungarian, Balázs Daniel, and from France, Jean-Pierre Bertrand, and who is safe and sound and happy to be coming over here, I'm very sure. And yes. Then Deanna Bogart's coming up, and she's a multiple BMA person herself on sax and piano. She's amazing. And, of course, Bob Seeley, who's one of the top Boogie Woogie artists in the country. I know you were talking with Mitch Wood, so if you guys touched on Boogie Woogie, I wouldn't be surprised if you mentioned Bob Seeley in there. So he's coming out from Florida, and we have Kirk Harwood on drums and Nancy Wright on sax. It's going to be a party.
Okay, let's take a huge, giant step back in time. Let's step into Mr. Peabody's Wayback Machine.
I love it.
And tell the audience, what is Boogie Woogie? I mean, that's a crazy sounding name for a style of music. Don't you think? So what would you explain to everybody, the kids at home, what is Boogie Woogie?
Well, it's a really good question because a lot of people do not know, and that's one of the cool things about talking with people under 25 at shows, because they're like, man, I never heard this before. And then I'll say, well, it's Boogie Woogie, and they're like, what's that? I never even heard the word. Okay, Boogie Woogie goes back to actually the very end of the 1800s. The roots of the music go way back. Of course, there's no recorded evidence, but in the stories that people that were later captured by Library of Congress and, when they went around the country recording folk history and so on, right. People would talk about who influenced them. So these cats in the 1920s were talking about people they grew up with in the late 1800s. And so the form really solidified towards the end of the 20s, going into the 30s. It's generally described as music with a steady pulse in the left hand, 8 to the bar. Usually follows a 12-bar blues pattern. All the blues fans out there know what that is. For all the rest of you, just groove to it. It's cool. And then the right hand plays syncopated patterns on top of what's going on in the left hand. It's extremely infectious. It can be really fast. It can be medium tempo. There are actually some slower boogie woogies. And it's really mixed in with, stomps and blues. You can't really separate them. The top guys were Albert Ammons, Pete Johnson, and Meade Lux Lewis. And the same guy that discovered Bob Dylan and Janis Joplin in
John
his
Hammond?
younger days,
Okay.
his younger days, he produced this show at Carnegie Hall called Spirituals to Swing, because at that time, black artists couldn't get good bookings. They were considered, black music forms were considered very marginal and, couldn't get any respect. So John Hammond was like, no, we're going to put this front and center right in the middle of American culture. We're bringing it into Carnegie Hall. So he put on these series of shows that included Duke Ellington. I mean, people that now it's hard to imagine that maybe they had a hard time getting respect in mainstream culture. Well, they did. John Hammond helped change that. So they did the first, I think it was 1939, and Boogie Woogie immediately took off. They had these 3 guys on stage playing together. They called them the Boogie Woogie Trio, and people went nuts. So going into the 40s, all over the country, there were these Boogie Woogie piano schools. Everybody played Boogie Woogie. And that's why, like, if you're going through old music books, you'll find a lot of old Boogie Woogie books from the 1940s. I mean, it was huge, swept the country. And, of course, that went on to influence the swing bands and rock and roll, and what Johnny Johnson was playing behind Chuck Berry in developing rock and roll was Boogie Woogie. And you can also trace some of the roots of rap back to Boogie Woogie, because the piano players used to talk while they were playing patterns underneath, like flirting with the women, telling them to come over, stand next to the piano and shake it. There was a long tradition of doing stuff like that, right? So, Boogie Woogie is, the influences are still traceable in what's happening in music now. Okay. And occasionally you find a little sampling of something, too.
You find what?
You have like a little sampling in say, a contemporary, mix track or something. Mm-hmm. People will have like a little sample bass line or a little piece of a Boogie Woogie thing.
Well, I mean, that's a great description, and it is had over time sort of became mixed in with blues and rock and everything, and that beat is sort of like it's not once people hear realize the roots of it, but I think a lot of people just aren't. Some people may not be familiar with the exact history of it. So I thank you so much for that. Now, your history. You're a Boogie Woogie piano player. Now, how did you get into this? Did you start out? We talked before we started recording about. So you automatically know about some of the rudimentary sort of piano stuff that most people learn. So you studied classically first, and then you got into Boogie Woogie, or how did you get into this? Just start from the beginning.
Really.
How did you get started?
Okay, it's actually a pretty good story. When I was a kid, my dad owned the first European automotive shop in Sonoma Valley in Sonoma, California. This was like a long time ago, okay? And there was this guy who had a Porsche, and he needed a new transmission, and he had no money. So he gave my dad his piano. So that's how I got my first piano. Ah. And then Dad used to bring his friends over, and they would play, and he had this one friend named Tommy Thompson. And Tom's mom, Big Red, had taught him how to play Boogie Woogie. And so he would come over, hang out at the house, and play that. So I was this, like, little 9, 10-year-old kid at his elbow, just pestering him until he showed me how to play it, So that got me started. And then my grandma gave me a year of piano lessons when I was little, and it was sort of a disastrous road growing up, with living in different places and not always with the piano. Okay. So, but I hung in there, So eventually I got my piano back, and I had a few lessons here and there. I started learning stuff off of records, and once you know how to read, you can teach yourself, right? So,
right.
You start figuring out how to get things off records and all that. So I started doing that, and then a friend of mine decided that he was never going to be as good as the rest of the guys in his band, so he gave me his record collection, which was James Cotton and Memphis Slim and Otis Spann and all these great guys.
Wow.
So that's how it all got started. Once I learned the boogie woogie and heard the blues, it was kind of all over.
But you were but you played other types of music, and you were a supporting musician for a long time. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the road of coming to your own thing. We go out and find other people to play with, people that are much better than us, much more experienced. And so I did. My very first gig was I went on the road with the Top 40 band, went through Canada and the U.S. and all that. So then I moved to the Bay Area and met up with a bunch of blues guys that have played at the Saloon in North Beach, a bunch of guys that came out of Chicago. And they're called Chicago Blues Power. They've been playing the Saloon in North Beach for about 40 years now.
Oh, wow.
And then about that same time, I formed my band, my first band. And I recruited this guitar player. It turned out that he played with Hank Ballard. So when Hank needed a piano player, I got the gig and got to travel with him around the U.S. and went to Europe. Played my first big festival with him, the Pier Festival in Belgium, in front of my very first time on a huge stage in front of 10,000 people.
Wow, amazing, fantastic.
But there were 11 other people in the band, so I felt pretty safe.
You can hide.
Yeah, right. And then I started working with Steve Floyd when he came out to the West Coast after Sunnyland Slim passed on. Steve came out west and started working with my band, and then he started having me on some of his gigs and did a little bit of traveling with him. We went back to Chicago. And I'm on a couple of tracks on his C for Chicago album that we recorded at Del Mar. And then from working with Steve, I got the opportunity to play with Otis Rush and Big Time Sarah and some other artists. So,
but you struck out on your own eventually. So how do we make the transition from I've got hey because when you're supporting other artists, it's kind of like your day job, right? I got work, I can go and play with Hank or this guy, that guy. Isn't it a little like how do you get the kahunas to say no, it's me, I'm the show. There's no way to hide behind, especially your show now, because it's just you and your drummer most of the time, right?
Yeah, I finally got really brave. Yeah. Well, it was. Usually piano players aren't afraid to play solo, so a duo was like, you're like, hey, this is really easy, But whereas most people are coming from a band stripping it down. If you play boogie woogie and solo blues piano, you're actually building it back up. So I'd actually started my band a long time ago, and when I started working with Steve and Hank, I had already started booking gigs under my name. And the way that happened was I was playing in this all-woman rock band. And we were doing pretty good. It was all original stuff. Great. We're having a ball playing all over San Francisco. And the main songwriter and leader of the band, the night before we were supposed to go in the studio with the producer, the whole big thing was going to happen and all that, she called up and said, I'm going to join this other band. I'm breaking up the group. Forget it. And I was like, are you kidding? Are you serious? I've just put a couple of years of my life into this project, and now overnight, right as we're starting to get really fun, you're canning the project. That's it. I'm starting my own band.
Well, you can't. That's the thing. I always said is if you start your own band, you can't quit yourself.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're kind of stuck. And if you're a songwriter, you start realizing that you kind of have to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So originally I had a 5-piece, and then started appearing more as a duo, doing more solo stuff. And then when Kirk and I connected, I had already started doing more solo shows because of the boogie woogie circuit in Europe. You do a lot of solo boogie woogie festivals. And so with meeting Kirk, he's so perfect. he's got a background in jazz. He played with Norton Buffalo. He can, with his sense of dynamics and creativity, we don't sound like a duo. So we were having such a good time, we just started basically booking the band as a duo. And, sometimes we have to add a piece. Somebody will, they want a bigger sound on a festival or something. But essentially, our group is a duo. Anything added to it is a bonus.
Well, one of the things that I noticed is, there's no bass player most of the time, correct?
Well, my left hand might take issue.
But that's exactly what I want to talk about. Because so you have this, you're sort of like known for like this ability to really. I mean, it's a characteristic of boogie woogie piano, anyways. But you seem to have cultivated this. Is there something special about that you do? Is there some secret to that?
Oh, probably just that if I was a better piano player, my right hand would have more to do. So I might just, the left hand does a lot. I don't know. I don't know. I love rhythm. My brother's a drummer. I can play little drums myself. The rhythm is everything. And even in really sophisticated music with a lot of notes going on, rhythm is everything. But it's especially true when you're playing more root styles. If the music is pretty stripped down, you don't have people playing a wall of jazz notes on top of it. It's all about the groove. It's all about the feel. It's about the soul, and it's the rhythm. So it's not anything I, went after especially. It's just the way things developed.
You worked with, you mentioned, we talked about that you worked with Hank Ballard. He's a legendary musician, and you worked with him for a very long time. What was you had to have gotten some mentoring. What was the sort of biggest lesson that you learned from working with Hank?
Do it with your heart and soul.
Mm-hmm.
Everything Hank did was completely heart and soul. He'd done those songs how many times, and he'd get on stage and do the twist, and it was like, you got it, A lot of times I think we can hear songs that we've heard a million times and not really get them. You don't realize the passion behind the music. Oh, it's another pop, rock, radio, song we've heard on the radio 8 zillion times. And then when you're with the person who originally created it and they're still playing it like it was the first time they've ever played it, you really get it. Your music connects on a really deep level when you're connecting with the passion and the moment and everybody is right there with you. I just can't put it into words, but that's what I got out of Hank. Watching him perform, and the way he talked about the music and his love for music and his love for love and people taking care of each other and respecting each other and being together. He was a really beautiful person.
So other than Hank, you've been playing music for a really long time. What could you give us a couple other career highlights?
Talking with you.
Oh, wow. Oh my God.
Oh, stop. Geez. I think, playing the San Francisco Blues Festival with Otis Rush was probably the highest moment of my life. I got one of those things going up your spine.
Mm.
He came on. We'd started. Steve did a song or two before he came out, and he hit the first chord on the guitar, and the way he played, and he was completely 100% present in everything he was doing, and you felt it. Mm. So that was an amazing moment. That was pretty cool. Kirk and I were pretty thrilled to make the finals at the International Blues Challenge, playing at the Orpheum Theater. After we were one of the last acts up, so we got to stew in the back room all day. So by the time we finally got to go out and do our couple of minutes, it was like, all right, let's go. That was pretty fun. I don't know. It's hard to say. Catch me on a different minute. I'll have a different story for you.
I got you. That's fine. This is just this moment, and that's what you said. That's totally cool. Now, tell me about the Queens of Boogie Woogie. What is this all about?
Oh, okay. The Queens of Boogie Woogie was triggered by an article I read in Keyboard Player magazine. They did a full-page spread on Sue Palmer. Now, Sue Palmer played piano with Candy Kane and still does occasionally. Lives in San Diego. She was famous for wearing this beehive wig on stage.
Okay.
She had like a hilarious look, and this was, this is what, into the end of the 80s, into the 90s, and it was a while ago now. A lot of outrageousness was going on stage, and so I was like, I want to meet her. So I came up with this idea of, let's put on a Queens of Boogie Woogie festival, because I don't know any other woman playing Boogie Woogie, and it would be really fun to at least have a couple of sisters in music, right? So,
right.
I dug up a few, and now we're all friends, right? So I started it so that we could all get to know each other, and for fun, for friendship, for support, to spread the love of the music. And we've been doing it for 16 years now. That's how I met Deanna Bogart. That's how I got to meet Lady Bianca. I just see a name like, oh, she'd be fun. Call them up, and hopefully we get to be friends and do a few shows together. And what generally happens is that one of the other queens will then go home and put on a Queen's show and invite some of us out to play. So we've actually spread them around.
Cool.
We've done little Queens things up in Seattle. Zannyville Blues is up there. She was really active for a while. She's actually moving back to California now. And Lisa Ote out in Arizona, she brought the Queens out. Donia Oxford down in L.A., we did some things down there. Of course, Sue in San Diego. We just did one last week with Deanna, Sue, and me at Dizzy's in San Diego. So it's gone viral.
It sounds like it. That's fantastic. It's springing up around in different areas around the country. It's very, very cool. So now you have a new record coming out. This is your second record with Kirk, right? Is this your second record?
It's actually our third, because we did a Christmas Boogie Woogie album.
Of course. There has to be a Christmas Boogie Woogie album, and the Queen herself had to do it.
And we put one of the songs in 5/4 just for the fun of it.
Oh my goodness! So people would fall down when they try to dance. Is that what you're?
Yeah, we try to trick them. So this is we didn't. The Christmas one being a seasonal one, it's not like a full-on release, right?
I understand.
But it's available at shows. You can get it on CD Baby and stuff. It's fun. It's a fun one. Industrial Strength was our first one together. Then we did Christmas, and then we just put out Getaway. The official release date is for going on sale on CD Baby, and what do they call it? Street date.
Okay.
That's November 20th.
Now tell me about the record. What's going on? You worked with a full band. It isn't just the two of you, correct?
Actually, the way we did it was kind of interesting. I've owned a recording studio, so I have some chops. And a friend of ours, our buddy Angelo Rossi, who's got a studio in San Jose, knew that I knew how to record, but I didn't have any gear anymore. I'd gotten rid of all the analog stuff, right? So he set me up in Pro Tools. He was able to give me his old copy or something, and I was able to fully register it as a real owner. This is not bootleg. And but thanks to Angela, I was able to get set up again. And then Kirk had friends from the Norton Buffalo days, Gary Kroller, who's a fabulous technician and engineer, and Alan Sudduth, who's a really amazing engineer. They helped us get our sounds, lent us some gear. We set up the studio. Kirk and I recorded all of the basics. We had Steve Evans come in for one basics, because there's bass on one track. On the funk tune, of course, they had to have a bass player.
Okay. Because I was looking at the credits, and I did see a bass player. I'm like, uh-oh, somebody's cheating.
Yeah, well, we love Steve. Yeah, we had to have him. He's a phenomenal person and player. Of course. And so we did all that, and then, of course, Steve Freund came in and played guitar, but not on all of the tunes, because it's all based around the concept of the duo. And here's where it gets fun. We brought in horns on some of the tracks. So you've got piano, drums, and horns. And we stumbled on that by accident because we were playing a benefit, and there were horn players. And you know how benefits, everybody jams and sits in with each other and all that. So it was Mike Renton, a couple other people sat in, and Kirk and I had such a good time playing with the horn section that we thought, well, why not? You can have a duo with a horn section. So Mike Renton and I sat down and wrote out charts for 3 of the songs, and then we got Keith Crossan and Tom Poole to help out. And so that's it. That's the album. The horns are on 3 tracks. We got Steve playing guitar on a few, and then there's most of it based around it. There's only one song that is just the duo. All of the others either have bass or guitar or horns, something going on.
Just a little extra flavor.
Yeah, just to bring out what the song's about, make it a little more fun.
Sprinkles on the cupcake. I got you. So now, before we run a little short on time here, but I wanted to ask you something, because boogie woogie, blues, these styles are so, they sort of have a form to them. So how do you write original music? Or do you find it difficult to do original stuff and not have it just be some recycled version of some old boogie woogie song?
Well, it goes back to the story
know.
you're telling. Well, some people do that. Some people are very into retro, and that's cool. They want to keep that sound. Mm-hmm. I like to think that, and there is a place for that in blues and boogie woogie. There's also a place for incorporating your own story into it so that the music stays pulling in new influences and stays alive. Not that you want to lose connection to the roots of it. So the song, the lyrics, or if it's an instrumental, the story that you're trying to tell musically determines what you're going to do. So it may be 12-bar, but it'll have some breaks in it, or it'll have a lick that's a little different, or, there's still ways to do it, and everything hasn't been done. And, you can't, even if you're copying music that is 70 years old now,
Right. Possibly, if you're talking originating in the late 1800s, it's even older than that. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the roots go back to that, and so you're taking elements that have been around for a long time, but you're telling it from the perspective of somebody who's living a life today. There's no way you're going to play like somebody who's led the kind of life that those guys were leading. We're different. We're different people today.
And so you're bringing your own feelings in the 21st century to it. And speaking of that, what is the state of boogie woogie piano in 2015? Are there more people coming into it, new artists coming?
Yes.
It sounds to me like you're finding all kind of people getting into it.
Oh, we're digging them up, yes. And I do a little teaching too, so I get like this 25-year-old guy who loves jazz, but he also loves boogie woogie, or let's say Balas Daniel from Hungary. He's like 26. He was a child jazz prodigy. He loves boogie woogie and roots piano. Or Luis Goroma from Spain, and he went to Chicago and did a project with Barrel House Chuck of really great, more Barrel House bluesy side of things, not as much the boogie woogie side of the story. So it's out there, and like when we do the show at SF Jazz, we'll see 3 generations together. Whole families come out. And
wow.
Just the fact that we've been able to start this festival out here, and there's enough people to fill the SF Jazz Center. And then Ricky Nye's doing festivals back on the East Coast, and there's other artists around. There's festivals in Detroit. There's the Archie's Piano Stage in Cincinnati at the Blues Fest there. So there is a lot of stuff going on, and thanks to shows like yours and a lot of college radio and community radio stations, listener-supported stuff, those DJs get to do what they love, right? And that keeping the music out there and pulling in new audiences, and so by you're helping get the word out on that. Hey, this is music that's fun, vital, telling stories that are of what's happening today. And it's out there, So I don't know. I might be a really positive person. I will admit to that. But I think Boogie Woogie's doing fine.
Well, that's good. Okay, that's fantastic. So the record is coming out. It's called Getaway. It's coming out on November 20th. What's happening after you guys going on the road? What's in the future for the next 6, 9, 12 months?
Oh, what's coming up? Well, we're going to be heading out to, we'll be in Memphis for the BMAs, and we're playing in Louisiana and Tennessee. We'll be doing a whole trip back there. So look for us out in that neck of the woods. And we're continually touring all over the West Coast. And the go to wendydewitt.com, sign up on the email list, and get a free Boogie Woogie ringtone to boot.
I'm getting my free Boogie Woogie ringtone as soon as we're done here. And what is that? What is your website again? Is it wendydewitt.com? Is that we get that right?
Yes, you got it.
Okay, so go to wendydewitt.com for all your Boogie Woogie needs. They shall be met, and you shall be greatly blessed. This was a very fun interview, Wendy. You are you're a lot of fun to talk to, and I really appreciate it. And I do love your positive attitude, so that's fantastic.
And I love yours too, man. I look forward to meeting you someday. We'll have to do that.
We will have to do that. All right. That is, again, wendydewitt.com. The new record comes out, Getaway, on November 20th of this year. So, Wendy, you what are you doing next? Where are you headed? Are you guys playing tonight? What are you doing? Just chilling? What's going on?
Tonight we have a big sponsor party for the Boogie Woogie Festival. We'll be playing there. All the musicians will be there doing the house party, and then tomorrow's the big show at SF Jazz.
All right, well, it sounds like you're busy. You have a great rest of the day, and we'll stay in touch, okay?
All right, and you stay well yourself.
All right, take care, Wendy. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, everyone. That was Wendy DeWitt. That, again, is wendydewitt.com. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. You can go to loudinirockandrollcircus.com to get more information about everything we're doing and all the great interviews. As she mentioned, I did speak with, I did a great interview with Mitch Woods, the fantastic Boogie Woogie piano player. So if you like Boogie Woogie, I highly recommend that you check that out. Once again, thank my sponsors, Positively Pittsburgh Live, you rock, pplmag.com. Welcome to Pittsburgh's first internet radio and TV and online community magazine and business directory. So you want to go to pplmag.com or Positively Pittsburgh Live Magazine.com. And I'd like to also thank our new sponsor, brand new sponsor, MTS Management. That's at mtsmanagementgroup.com. MTS Management is more than just an artist management company. It's a bona fide rock star in the music industry, specializing in full-service artist management, publicity and promotions, and social media campaigns. MTS Management is on the cutting edge of today's new music business. Guys, thank you. You've been listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, and you can get all the information at loudinirockandrollcircus.com. Follow us on Twitter at LLStrangelove, and you can find me on Facebook, LouLombardi. Please watch for our music podcasts as well, where we play artists like Mitch Woods, Wendy DeWitt, and some of these other amazing people that you've got to meet here. Guys, have a great day. LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. See you on the next show.